Joining us here in the studio, former Assistant Secretary of State Jamie Rubin, who's now executive editor of the Bloomberg View. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning.
In some ways, was this speech an admission that the influence of the United States on this process, and even in the region, may not be as great as it once was?
Well, I think that's certainly true, not only in terms of what's happened in the Arab Spring with revolutions taking place and the U.S. role rather marginal, but President Obama has, I think it's fair to say, less clout in Israel than previous presidents, and that's partly a function of his willingness in the past to put to the Israeli government his differences on issues like settlements, which is now what the Israeli government is complaining about. So to the extent that the Israelis respond to President Obama's urging that they get serious about the negotiations, this could have a positive effect. But right now, it's turned into a real diplomatic flap.
Yeah, it has. And of course, the big test is going to be today. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu coming to meet with the president. Netanyahu called this indefensible, the ideas that President Obama laid out. Take us inside, based on your experience, take us inside that meeting. What is it going to be like between these two men today?
Well, I think Prime Minister Netanyahu, who's very well known for gamesmanship, has chosen to really play up this difference because it isn't that big a difference. The White House certainly didn't intend this as a major policy shift. Previous presidents have talked about a settlement being based on the 1967 lines.
But this is the first official statement.
Well, right, and the difference was they didn't include a few words the Israelis care about. The words they wanted to see was reflecting new realities. That is, since 1967, Israeli settlements have built up around Jerusalem. President Bush, in a letter to then Prime Minister Sharon, referred also to the 67 borders, but he had these phrases reflecting new realities. So I think a lot of what you're going to see today behind the scenes is Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, look, I had this letter from the previous president to my predecessor. Didn't that still hold? Why are you changing it? And they'll get back and forth. And my guess is by the end of the next 24 hours, they'll have some new words similar to reflecting new realities, maybe some words like, you know, that conditions have changed. And then Prime Minister Netanyahu can go home and say, I talked us back from the cliff.
Because obviously it would be very tough for him politically to give an inch here.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, and this is unfortunate for everyone, I think, because President Obama doesn't have the huge popularity in Israel that perhaps President Bush had, it's easier for Prime Minister Netanyahu to have a fight with him. Previous American presidents, the Prime Minister didn't want to have a fight with them because it could hurt them politically. For example, when President Clinton had a fight with Prime Minister Netanyahu a decade ago, Netanyahu was thrown out of office and Ehud Barak was put in. That's the way the Israeli political game is played.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of the meeting and how that changes to the impression that many people have of the speech. Always good to have you with us, Jamie.
Nice to see you too.